ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, VIP ಲಾಂಚ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ಸಂಚಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಒಬ್ಬರು VIP ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ನಮ್ಮ ನೆರೆ ದೇಶದ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಗೆಸ್ಟಿನ ಹೆಸರು ಥಾಕೂರ್ ಪೌಡ್ಯಾಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಎಜುಕೇಷನಿಸ್ಟು ಕೂಡ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಅಂಥವರು. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. Usually in this particular program we call guests from different streams, somebody from education, somebody from politics, someone would do something great in entrepreneurship. So this time we are really glad that we have somebody who has been an administrator, educationist, and that too in our neighboring country Bhutan. Welcome to our program, sir.
Thank you very much indeed, sir.
And basically you've gone around Manipal, our country India, and you had your formal education, a part of your formal education in India. I have to ask you my first question. How do you find your stay in India now, sir?
Any visit to India is for me like a pilgrimage. Right. It's a pilgrimage. It's a vast subcontinent. True. It could actually be a continent in its own right. A land of great civilizations, ancient cultures, great wisdom. Many of my teachers have been from India. And it was such joy to be here in Manipal on the 5th of September on. I had heard of Manipal. It was a name before, but it is a reality now.
Right.
This place, Manipal, particularly where the university is located on the hillock, seems to be a confluence of nature and culture, right, as indeed the human being. So a tri-junction between the humans, the natural and the cultural, as indeed architectural as well. So going around a bit of the university campus was like travel into a land that one
probably
often
students
imagines.
from 21 different countries,
59 different countries.
59
yes,
different countries.
59 different countries indeed. A very special feeling, and especially here I see that there is a kind of leisureliness.
Okay.
There's peace here, and the people are very friendly and warm. There's so much a smile on their faces. There's a lot of goodwill. This is a great place of learning. So as I was telling my colleagues, elsewhere what happens is that when a commercial hub arises around a seat of learning,
Right.
that commercial hub often has the tendency to consume the seat of learning.
Right.
But in this case, Manipal University has actually dissolved into itself, all surrounding. And I must say that any place that has an iconic center of learning,
Right.
whether it is a school or a university or a college or any, it could be a school, university, or any place of learning. If a place has as its defining feature a place of learning, I must say that that place has its heart in the right place.
Right.
So this place, Manipal, inspired as it is by this iconic seat of learning, Manipal University, overlooking the Arabian Sea and the Western Ghats.
In between the Arabian Sea. And
yes,
Western
indeed.
Ghats,
And of course, the all-seeing Lord Krishna.
Right.
I think this is such a blessed place.
True.
And I feel that I derive that blessing when I come here.
Sure.
And it's been such joy to be able to obtain some glimpses of your beautiful place
So
here.
you have been a lifetime contributor to education in 2011, International Gussie Peace Prize awardee, and an author by probably a passion, as well as an educationist and a teacher. So I need to ask you your journey, right from being formal education in a part of it in Bhutan and then in India.
Yes.
Right. So what is that you carry back home when you go back to Bhutan? What are the positive things which you want to carry back home?
I think if we're talking about this particular visit, it's been an extremely intensive as well as extensive journey. It's not only a physical journey, but it's been a deeply emotional
Right.
and psychological journey.
Right.
I felt some very uplifting vibrations in this place. I had the joy of visiting this sacred temple of Lord Krishna, and also paying my respects to Swamiji there,
Right.
who incidentally happens to be an educationist in his own right, and meeting the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University, the educational leaders here, the professors, students from far and wide, including the 5 Bhutanese students who are studying here.
Okay.
I have a feeling that there is an opportunity for us to work together.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I was suggesting to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, why can't we, in fact, establish some kind of a mechanism
Right.
whereby we can work together, and he is very positively disposed towards it.
Right.
So I have a feeling and a hope that we will be able to benefit from the great experience of Manipal University
Sure.
in different fields. So we could take up a few strategic areas
Mhm.
and share our experiences.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, we have the same wish for our societies.
So,
So-
unlike India, Bhutan has more of an informal system of education, if I understand it well. So, how is it that the informal system and the formal system both are coexisting in Bhutan right now? And what is the strategy behind that? And how exactly does it work?
Actually, as I look at it, Bhutan's education system falls into 3 streams.
Okay.
The first stream being the religious spiritual stream
Right.
that began way back in the 8th century
Okay.
when the second Buddha, Guru
Uh-huh.
Padmasambhava, visited Bhutan in 747 AD. And that stream continues to flow to
Right.
this day, and it will continue to flow
Flow
into the
forever,
future.
probably.
And the second big stream of education began in the early 1900s.
Right.
That is the modern Western style English medium secular education stream.
Okay.
And that second education stream has prepared Bhutan's professionals, our
Okay.
doctors, our engineers, our parliamentarians, our diplomats, people who work in the modern sector.
Right.
And this sector is very important for us to build our capacity as a nation.
As a nation.
And the third important wave started in the early 1990s when we began what is called the non-formal education program.
Mhm.
And the non-formal education program, by definition, is for people who couldn't make it to school when they were young,
Right.
either because there were no schools around, or there were too many things to do at home, or the priorities were different.
Mhm.
So the result was that many of our people missed the bus when they were young.
Okay.
But we thought that they also needed second chance at learning. So we built a wide network of non-formal education centers across the country. And the number of people participating in the non-formal education sector is in fact as big as the people participating in the formal sector. That is the young people, who go to school when they attain a certain age for admission.
Right.
And the non-formal education system has done, in fact, very well. It has allowed us to reach learning, particularly literacy, basic literacy, some language literacy abilities.
So more to do
yes,
with probably till 10th standard.
not that far yet. So non-formal education
write their
basically
names or
yes,
to
basically
probably-
caters to basic literacy, basic numeracy,
Okay.
health education,
Hmm.
some cash income generating activities, hygiene, in fact, as well as communication skills,
Right. Right.
some interventions when there are natural disasters. So these are basically
The first aid
yes,
or something
yes,
like
basic education
Hmm.
to be able to communicate, to
Right.
be able to read, to be able to write. And the non-formal education program has done very well in the sense that we see a lot of change in the life of the community. Our mothers,
Right.
our men who never went to school when they were young,
Right.
but they may be 20 years old, 30 years old. Our senior most participant in the non-formal education program was a 70-year-old
Wow.
man who thought that he should learn how to read the newspapers at least.
Right.
So he would come to school non-formal to attend our non-formal education center. And the non-formal education program has been actually acknowledged by the UNESCO through the award of an honorable mention and a bronze medal in 2009
Wow.
and a gold medal in 2011. So we're very happy that we've been able to reach out to the unreached people
Right.
through the non-formal education
That was
wave.
during your tenure as
Oh,
education
yes,
minister?
that's true.
Right.
And of course, the formal education is very important. We have made a commitment to our children that
Right.
every child who reaches the age of 6 years must be in school.
Right.
And every single Bhutanese child ought to be able to receive basic education. And in Bhutan, basic education means 1 year of pre-primary and
Right.
10 years of normal school.
Normal
So
school.
altogether, 11 years
years.
of education. That is basic education as per the
So
constitution.
the spiritual education, as you were saying, which started in 700 odd AD onwards,
Yes.
and that's been prevailing even now.
Oh, yes.
And has it been formalized in some way, or is it that it's a same kind of Gurukula system which has been running?
And in fact, we have in fact the secular order and the religious order. There was a time when the great Lama
Right.
Jabdung Rinpoche combined in his person
Right.
both the secular order as well as the spiritual order.
Spiritual order.
But later on, these were separated, and the head of the spiritual order is the chief abbot. We call him the Venerable Abji Rinpoche. So he looks after the religious affairs of the country,
Okay.
and there is a whole set of institutions and practices and norms to guide the spiritual order, the religious order, and the secular administrative order. That this, in fact, there are two streams even here,
Right.
and His Majesty the King is the head of state.
Right.
And the Prime Minister is the head of government,
Government.
so to do the day-to-day running of the government, looking after the law and order and issues of management and administration. So even to this day, Bhutan is a deeply reflective religious country.
Right.
The spiritual fiber
Right.
is extremely important for us because us people are very spiritual and religiously oriented, and it informs the daily life of our people. And even though there is the advent of mass media, information technology, modern education, modern development, yet at the same time we hold the
You're
spiritual
deeply
order
rooted
to
with
be very
respect to
dear.
the-
So
yeah.
it's very important.
That's nice.
So, and as a country, we need to have some very strong foundations,
Right.
and the spiritual foundations, the religious foundations, cultural foundations, historical foundations
Right.
are important for Bhutan to give us a sense of national identity and also to root us to be
Do you
able to look
think when
beyond.
you visit India and when you try to understand what's happening in India,
Yes.
that root probably is missing? Where in Bhutan you have a spiritual order having the roots strong, and then the educational system following out of it, or do you feel it's similar in India?
I think our education system derives its inspiration from many streams. We introduced in the beginning of the 1900s
Right.
the modern Western style English medium education, and this has done a good service to Bhutan. We have been able to bring in the knowledge and experiences of the human race,
Right.
the fruits of discoveries and inventions and innovations
Right.
of humanity over the years. So we have been able to tap into the resources provided by modern education, but at the same time the spiritual the traditional fabric of the country is very important. So the two of them receive inspiration actually from each other.
Each other.
And our hope is that we will be able to balance our spiritual, religious, cultural traditions
Right.
together with the modern science and technology
education,
and innovation. As a matter of fact, our long-term wish is for Bhutan to be able to balance the needs of the body with the needs of the soul,
Soul.
and this is extremely important. As far as India is concerned, it is a vast continent. So many spiritual traditions, cultural traditions, philosophical traditions, literary, artistic traditions,
Yes.
and it is a wonder
So do you think that fabric which has to probably console along with the education system is somewhere missing in India, or do you think that's well spun?
I think I would have to understand more,
Mm.
and have to go deeper to understand well enough, to be able to make a statement
Right.
on a country as large as India,
As India, true.
on a system as ancient as India,
As India.
and on a vision as vast, as that of India. So
Sure.
all I can say is, I have great respect for the awakenings that India has achieved in so many fields. Some of the greatest minds,
Right.
some of the great discoveries,
Right.
some of the great movements of the human mind
Human mind.
have taken place in India.
True.
And the world has learnt a lot, received a lot from India. And we, in Bhutan, certainly, we have received so much from India in terms of the great traditions
Which the
that
Indian
have
continent have probably.
that have inspired us. The great second Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, Guru Padma Sambhavam,
Hmm.
actually traveled to Bhutan, and our scholars do come to India, and there's so much of exchange between the two countries, and it's a relationship based on trust, on mutual respect.
Sure.
It's a relationship that's been growing, so it
We
can
need
only
to talk
grow
more
better.
on the relationship between India and Bhutan. Before that, let's take a small break, sir. ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ನಾವೀಗ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಭೂತಾನಿನ ಮಾಜಿ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಅವರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ವಿರಾಮದ ನಂತರ. ಎಸ್ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, VIP ಲಾಂಚ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ತಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಬ್ರೇಕಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಭೂತಾನಿನ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಒಂದಿಗೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಮತ್ತು ಭೂತಾನಿನ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ದ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಭೂತಾನ್. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ವರ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ವರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಬ್ರೇಕ್. So as I understand, there has been a strong bonding between these two countries, and we've been exchanging a lot of probably from strategies to borders to border security to lot of things have been shared between us. What is your opinion? How this relationship can strengthen more?
I think the relationship can only get better.
Hmm.
This is all I can say now. So it's been a relationship built on absolute mutual trust,
Right.
goodwill, and friendship, and this can only get better as the years go by.
Right.
Yes,
So, if you have to consider Bodh Gaya, which is a pilgrimage for most of the Buddhists, all the Buddhists to be frank. So, a lot of tourists from Bhutan do come to Bodh Gaya, and there has been an exchange which has been happening. So, how do you see, the pilgrimage as well as the spiritual tourism improvising in this part of the country as well as in Bhutan?
I think Bodh Gaya has been a great pilgrimage destination for Bhutanese people, as indeed other places of religious interest and cultural interest for the Bhutanese. A lot of our young people come to India
Right.
for studies of different levels.
Right.
They come for studies, for trainings. A lot of our people come to India for medical treatment.
Right.
They come on pilgrimage. They also come for holiday. So I feel that it's just as well that these great spiritual foundations should inspire people from all around the world.
Right.
And our Bhutanese people make it a point to visit Bodh Gaya at least once as
Once in a lifetime, or at least.
yes, so Bodh Gaya is so
Yeah.
very special. So
Yeah, that's right. So, economic relationship with respect to Bhutan and India, How exactly has it developed, and how are we dependent on each other?
I think as far as economic relationships are concerned, I think we need each other.
Right.
Yes, we need each other, and both the countries, have realized that, and this relationship has been mutually flourishing.
Right.
And I'm sure in the years to go, in the years to come,
Right.
this will be something that we can only see flourishing. So,
It flourishing.
so yes.
A lot of Indians have come to Bhutan, and have they invested with Bhutanese government, or how is it?
Oh, I think in terms of investment, I think it's basically investment in goodwill. You see,
Goodwill.
so
Right.
we have been working together, and we have been having a lot of educators from India,
From India
and
who come down there.
a lot of my own teachers were from
Right,
India. So,
right.
and especially in terms of helping Bhutan to educate our people, especially in the earlier years.
Right.
A lot of teachers from India
So
would come.
coming back to education, your book,
Yes.
My Green School,
Yes.
right? So what is this concept of My Green School, and how exactly do you want to propagate it into the other part of the world also?
I do not think that we will ever try and propagate it, if that is the word.
Okay.
But My Green School is founded on Bhutan's unique development philosophy of gross national happiness. Gross national happiness as a holistic development ideal was conceived and articulated by His Majesty the Fourth King of Bhutan, Gyalpo
Right.
Jigme Singye Wangchukum. And today this unique philosophy of development has been appreciated by a lot of people around the world. It is something like a North Star.
Right,
I believe that every nation ought to have a North Star,
right,
just as indeed every man, woman and child ought to have a dream. Every nation, every society ought to have its own North Star.
right,
As you would know, long ago, when we didn't have the precision equipment
right.
like we have today,
Mm.
the sailors in the wide open
Used
seas
to observe the
looked
North
at the
Star and
North
sail.
Star to find the safety, to the port. In the 21st century, even in the 21st century, we need a North Star
Right.
for nations and for societies. So for Bhutan, the North Star was identified by our fourth king, His Majesty Jigme Singye Wangchuk, when he said that gross national happiness is more important than gross national product.
Right.
And today this has been our guiding star. We do our development planning based on the principles of gross national happiness.
Being
And
contented itself is a happiness in itself.
contentment is the foundation to
Foundation
happiness.
to happiness.
So if a nation has a big dream,
Mm.
if it has a North Star, the subsystems of that nation have to be a part of that
Or
North
at least
Star.
aligned towards
yes,
that.
so the subsystems of the nation would have to embrace and advance the North Star.
Right.
And education is an extremely important subsystem of any nation.
Right.
So in Bhutan, the Ministry of Education decided in 2009 that the education system must do its part to
Right.
advance the country's development goal of gross national happiness. And the strategy that we introduced was building green schools. As a means to an end, the end was green Bhutan. And green, I have to explain, is a color,
Right.
but more importantly, it is a metaphor.
Right.
Green is a metaphor for anything and everything that supports and sustains life.
Mm.
And by life, I mean human life, animal life, bird life, plant life, reptiles, life in all its infinite variety.
Right.
That is life. And anything that supports life in its multiple variety, in its infinite forms,
Right.
that is green. So we can have a green school, we can have a green home, we can have a green society, green economy,
Right.
green politics, green administration, green parliaments, green media.
Right.
So green is anything that supports life in its multiple forms. So my green school is kind of a vision of holistic education.
The sustainable education.
Yes, it is a vision of holistic education,
Right.
holistic development.
Right.
a harmonious society, a
Right.
harmonious world. So if individuals flourish
Right.
properly, morally, ethically, physically,
Right.
yes, materially, overall flourishing of the human individual will actually lead to the overall flourishing of the state or the society. So my green school is a kind of a model of holistic education. It is a model of a well integrated harmonious society
Yeah.
and a harmonious world.
So, the 8 elements which you talk about
Yes.
with respect to education. So, if you could throw some light over these elements and how exactly are they, really building this sustainable model?
As you know, today education systems around the world have progressed tremendously. I'm very grateful to all the policy makers, planners, and implementers of those policies, teachers around the world, for the benefits that education has brought to the human race. But over the years, somewhere down the line, I feel that the rains have started beating us. As you know, education was the only sector
Right.
that was called the noble sector. No other sector, not even medicines,
True.
was called the noble sector. And the great visionaries had a reason to call education the noble sector. Education was supposed to help young men and women cultivate the nobility of their mind,
Right.
cultivate the nobility of their heart,
Right.
thereby leading to cultivating the nobility of their action.
Right.
So when the head and the heart and the hands were engaged
Right.
in
Aligned.
nobility,
Right.
yes, or through noble thoughts, noble attitudes or noble vision, then everything around would be noble as well.
Right.
But today, I think education has become everything but noble. So
True.
that's why education has to address
Mm.
the multiple elements that make us who we are.
Right.
Today's education at best addresses only the intellectual element in us,
Right.
the mental
The
element.
mental element.
But we are more than the mind, we are more than the intellect. We have so many dimensions that make us who we are. We have a social dimension, we are part
Right.
of the society. We have a cultural dimension because we are part of the culture.
Culture.
We have an intellectual dimension.
Right.
We have an academic dimension.
Right.
We have an aesthetic dimension,
Right.
a spiritual dimension, and above all, an
Right.
ethical dimension or a moral dimension. So these 8 elements of my green school
Right.
are the important claims
Right.
that education and education systems must understand and embrace if we mean anything by education. So holistic education, good education ought to be able to address
Right.
the important claims of all these many elements.
Right.
Otherwise, what happens is that education can prepare people who are very smart, but not necessarily good human beings.
Good ethical human
Oh
beings.
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So education is more than carving out a career, as important as it is. It's more than obtaining a job, as important as it is. It's about cultivating the humanity of the humans, cultivating, preparing good human beings. This is what education ought to aspire for.
So the meditation being a part of education,
Yes.
and the entire concept behind it. Would you like to throw some light over it?
I think around the world there is increasing appreciation of the benefits of meditation.
Right.
In Bhutan, meditation is part of the culture.
Right.
So of course there are people who spend many years in meditation,
Right.
but we do our meditation in our prayers. Most Bhutanese would spend at least some part of the day in prayers
Right.
and in meditation. So it is a very important element of our daily life, and many people may not consciously make an effort to say, oh, now I'm going to sit down and meditate, but it happens as an natural
It's a
course
culture
of the
rather
day. So
there in
yes,
Bhutan.
it's deeply embedded in
Right.
the daily life of the people. So
And that's something, again coming back to the word propagate.
Yes,
You know, that's something probably has to be propagated to the rest of the world today.
I think what is important is to show than to say. So if we do a good job in any sphere of our life,
Right.
I'm sure people are going to discover that as a cause for,
Right.
yes, a cause for maybe looking at and perhaps even imbibing.
If you have to consider yoga, which originated here.
Oh
and
yes,
then
indeed. So how it's traveling, see.
Today it's travels all over the world.
Oh yes,
and
indeed.
Today we
So-
have started accepting it as probably.
Oh, that's
you know,
true.
the-
So people see the benefit of doing that.
Doing that.
And
So,
so-
probably meditation can also be
Oh
a
yes,
part
indeed.
of it.
So
right?
because today what I see happening around the world is that we are traveling away from us, and we have traveled far and wide. It's about time that we started traveling into ourselves,
Right.
and the longest journey is the journey inward,
Right.
as some wise people have said. And meditation, I believe, is a way to direct us
Inward.
to the inward journey into ourselves.
ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ, ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಲಾನ್ಪೋ ಠಾಕೂರ್ ಅವರೊಂದಿಗೆ. ಅವರು ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಭೂತಾನಿನದ್ದು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದರು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಷನ್, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ 8 ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಏನಿರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ವಿಚಾರ ನಾವು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅವರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಪುನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಸಮಯದ ಅಭಾವದಿಂದಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಶೋವನ್ನು ಮುಕ್ತಾಯಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ವುಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸೆಷನ್. Before concluding, now I asked you during the beginning of the show probably that what is that you want to take back home, and now at the end what is that you want to probably leave back in this particular country?
I do not think that I am capable of leaving anything behind, but what I am so grateful for is this, that is that this little book
Right.
is a baby of a book.
Right.
My green school.
Right.
It has been traveling around quite a bit, and I'm so humbled and greatly inspired at the same time that the seeds of this little book
Right.
seem to germinate in the soils of many lands.
And also in Karnataka for sure, because Manipal University Press has translated this particular book in Kannada. My Green School ಎಂಬಂಥ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಮಣಿಪಾಲ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ನವರು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ತಮಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗಾದರೂ ಓದಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಆಸೆ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕವನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ. So during the beginning of the program I had asked you what is that you want to take back home, and now during the last session of this particular program I surely have to ask you what is that you want to leave behind in this particular country?
I have a lot to take back home, but maybe very little to leave behind. The one thing that I'm so grateful for is that the university, Manipal University here,
Right.
in its great generosity,
Right.
has decided to translate my little book, My Green School, into one of the oldest languages of the human race, Kannada.
Right. Right.
And yesterday, as part of the international conference in the university,
Right.
the book was launched by the Honorable Vice Chancellor,
Right.
Professor Bhatt of the university.
Right.
For me, this book carries my dreams,
Right.
it carries my hopes, and it carries my prayers
True.
for not only my Bhutanese children, but also the children of the world.
Right.
And my hope and prayer is that the message of this book,
Right.
as so beautifully made available by Professor Bhatt, who translated the book, would benefit the children here, young men and women, and the people in the society here.
Sure.
So if the message and whatever little prayers I have in this book
Right.
come around to
That-
be of
that's the greatest
some
legacy which
benefit.
you can leave
Yes,
behind. Sure.
there is something that I would, in my humility and with respect, I would like to leave behind.
ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ಠಾಕೂರ್ ಎಸ್ ಪೌಡ್ಯಾಲ್ ಅವರೊಂದಿಗೆ. ಅವರು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಗೂಸಿ ಪೀಸ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಲೈಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಟು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು 2011 ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ 2012 ಔಟ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಟು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಅವಾರ್ಡನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಸ್ಪಂದನ ಟಿವಿಯ VIP ಲಾಂಚ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಖುಷಿ ತಂದಿದೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ, ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋ. VIP launch is a unique program wherein we invite guests from different streams, and we are really glad that ex-education minister of Bhutan could share his views with this particular program. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome, Indy. Thank you so much. Thanks.
ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ತಾವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಥಾಕೂರ್ ಎಸ್ ಪೌಡ್ಯಾಲ್ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಮೈ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕನ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಪುಸ್ತಕವನ್ನು ಮಣಿಪಾಲ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ತಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕವನ್ನು ಓದಬೇಕು. ಆ ಪುಸ್ತಕದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಯಶಃ ಇದನ್ನೇ ನಾನು ಈ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋದಾಗ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಧನ್ಯವಾದವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ತಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ ಸ್ಪಂದನ ವಾಹಿನಿ.